What I'm about to show you in this scene is one of the biggest hints that Victor has only been allowed to survive for as long as he has, because everything that he's been doing the entire time that he's been in Fromville is not only desired by the monsters, but that it is extremely beneficial to the entity in control of the monsters himself. Because what I want you to pay attention to the most here is how not only did this Nightwalker clearly already know that Victor was in the tunnels and he'd been there before but chose not to attack him, but that they had clearly set up this entire presentation with the demonic puppet and Victor's mom's dress on the table specifically for Victor before he arrived.
Oh God, it's your mother.
You know, Victor, if you keep coming down here, we'll make you stay.
Now, what we see here is undeniable proof that Victor's entire existence is something that is allowed by the being that is in control of the monsters. Because notice how they already knew that Victor has been going into the tunnels, just like they already know that he's been measuring the trees, and they also know that he is aware of the Man in Yellow's existence. But yet, they still allow him to live. None of the monsters are trying to kill Victor whatsoever. Even this Nightwalker specifically threatens him by saying that they're going to capture him and make him stay in the tunnels because they could never kill Victor. Oh, no. That is not even an option in their eyes. Like, Victor is possibly the only person to have ever lived in this town for decades while also having never been killed or even attacked, not even once, by any of the monsters in any way. Like, and there's people out here who really want you to believe that he survived those 40 years without talismans because he's really good at hide and seek. Like, it's completely ridiculous. Victor's mom literally got bodied by Smiley and Boyd got his ass whooped to high heaven by the Nightwalkers. Victor is the only character that the monsters are not allowed to attack. Like, this scene alone is just one of the many clues that make it obvious that Victor is obviously being used by the entity in control of the monsters to deceive, manipulate, and lie to the people of this town. And this is why what I'm about to show you matters so much.
Eloise said that's where my mother went that night. She went to save the children locked in the tower.
This scene is a perfect representation of why you should never believe anything that you're being told by Victor, because he is seemingly unknowingly acting for the enemy. Because what I want you to pay attention to here the most is how Victor specifically says that his sister told him where their mother went that night and not where she was going that night. It's very important that you pay attention to the phrasing that is used by Victor in this moment, because what it means is that he received this information from his sister after their mother had already went to the tree, and therefore it implies that Victor's sister came back after the massacre and talked to Victor after she left the root cellar to go after their mother. This entire situation literally cannot be possible because it directly contradicts Victor's claim to his dad in season 3 episode 10 that he found his sister's body completely destroyed by the monsters after the massacre. Like, pay attention to what I'm about to show you.
You said Eloise. She was so small. When I found her pieces, there wasn't much left.
In this scene, Victor says that his sister died at the night of the massacre and that her body was completely destroyed by the monsters to the point where he could barely even tell that it was her or not. That's what he says. But then it couldn't be possible that she was the one who told them their mother went to save the children locked in the tower. The only way this could even be possible is if Victor was approached and deceived by an entity like, say, the being that was pretending to be Boyd's wife in the dungeon, or the being pretending to be Father Cautry's ghost that appeared to Victor after the massacre as his sister and told him that information, which they would have done so that they could use Victor as a pawn in the future to lure people to the lighthouse under the false pretense that there's children locked in the tower, which is the same exact strategy that was used on Tabitha. But there's something else that's possibly even far more important that we need to talk about, and this is why I want you to listen to what is said by Victor in this scene that I'm about to show you very closely, because it clearly matters a lot to this story.
The boy in white was trying to tell Christopher that to save the children, he would have to go through the tree. I told my mother what the boy in white said. That's why she left us.
This scene is exactly what I'm talking about. Nothing that Victor says makes any sense, because his memories have obviously been debased, erased, and replaced so many different times by the entity that Victor simply cannot tell fact from fiction. Like, you really need to think about what Victor actually says in this moment, because he says that he was the one that told his mother that you have to go into the bottle tree to save the children locked in the tower, which is something he overheard from the boy in white's conversation with Christopher. The reason I want you to keep this in the back of your mind is that it directly contradicts yet another crucial piece of dialogue that was specifically said by Victor himself. And what I'm talking about is the claim that it was his own mother that told him that this bottle tree will always send you to the lighthouse.
They always take you different places, but my mother said this one was special, that it would take her to the tower, to the children.
What we see here in this scene is how the entity has perfectly manipulated Victor's memories to mislead the people of the town, therefore ensuring that the only possible outcome of this game is the one where the evil side of the town wins. Like, pay attention to what Victor actually says in this moment. He doesn't say, "My mother told me that this bottle tree will always send the reincarnations of the woman that she was descended from to the lighthouse." No. He says that he was told by his mother that this specific faraway tree, which is the bottle tree, is the distinguishing factor between whether you get sent to a random place or you get sent to the lighthouse. The reason why this matters is that this is the same tree that Dale went into, but unlike Tabitha, who arrived at the tower, he was sent into the pool as a result of doing so. To me, what this obviously implies is that the trees are being controlled by an intelligence that is acting behind the scenes of the town. Obviously, that intelligence would be the entity in control of the monsters himself, because the boy had to have known in advance that Tabitha would arrive specifically at the lighthouse at that specific time, unlike what happened to Dale, in order for him to have been waiting for her in the first place. It's important to remember that it wasn't until Victor told his mother about what he overheard from the boy in white's conversation with Christopher that she decided to go to the tree. This implies that his mother did not have the information about the bottle trees or the children locked in the tower before Victor gave her that information, which would therefore mean that she was not the person that told Victor that the bottle tree is special in the first place. To me, it's clear this information was placed into Victor's brain by the entity himself to deceive people like Tabitha into going to the lighthouse. And this is why I want you to pay attention to what I'm about to show you right here.
This is where you play.
What do you want to hear? This was your mother's car.
Play the one about the star. His name was Christopher. He made people laugh. This was his car. People liked him.
In this scene, we are shown the car that belonged to Victor's mother. And I want you to take a look at this car and tell me if you can see exactly what I'm also seeing. Because what we are looking at here is a car that has never been in an accident, unlike what happened to Tabitha and Jade when they came into the town. And when we look at Christopher's car, we see the exact same thing. His car is completely intact. And this supports exactly what I've been trying to say this entire video. No one in this show is a reincarnation of anybody. The only reason why Christopher and Victor's mom's car were not destroyed in an accident is because the evil entity who is writing the quest had not come up with that plotline of the two cars getting into an accident when they arrive into the town at that point. And how do we know this? Well, it's literally because Victor says that he was already in Fromville before the first two cars that ever had an accident came into the town.
The first time I saw him was right before the two cars came. Not your two cars, the first two cars.
When was that?
Oh, I wasn't much older than you when they came.
To me, the meaning of what we see here in this moment is very simple. The entire game has been created, designed, and meticulously crafted by the same being that is in control of the Nightwalkers. The boy is the one that gets to decide what role you play in this game. And notice how Christopher was actually playing the same role that Tabitha is currently playing right now. That's why the boy in white was asking him to go to the bottle tree, not Victor's mom. Whereas Victor's mom was obviously playing the same role as Jade because they're literally the only characters in the entire show that can play the violin. Clearly, that is not an accident. It's possible that this woman right here isn't even Victor's mom. And I say this because this car that belonged to Christopher, not the car that belonged to Victor's mom, is the same car where Victor places his sister's drawings inside of. So if you go by the logic that Christopher was a stranger to Victor's sister, and he was the one that caused the massacre that resulted in her death, it literally would not make any sense at all why Victor would place his dead sister's drawings in the trunk of the car of the person who basically killed her, when her supposed mother's car was perfectly intact a couple meters away. It doesn't make any sense. It would be extremely dishonorable to someone's memory if you did that to them. So, unless Christopher was actually her father, then it would make sense for Victor to place her drawings in Christopher's car. And this could be the same reason why Victor went looking for his sister at the church basement, which is seemingly the same place where Christopher seemed to be spending a lot of his time. If he was her dad, it would make sense why Victor thought she might be there. The only reason I'm saying her dad, but maybe not Victor's dad as well, is because I can't tell how many seats are in Christopher's car, and that's it. I just think it doesn't make any sense for Victor to place his sister's drawings in the car of the person that supposedly killed her. Because when you really think about it, this is just one of the many clues that the story we are being told here simply doesn't make any sense. And when you look at this being pretending to be Victor's dad, it's very clear that he's definitely hiding who he really is. So go watch this video right here where I go over a ton of evidence showing that him and the entity that's in control of the monsters are really just one and the same.